Hello and good evening. I am your caster Olympus, and tonight we have something that I've slightly messed up, as we have an NGS Heroic Division cast for this evening. We have Phoenix Rising Esports facing the side of Archon. If you wonder why I sound a bit more subdued today, well, I hurt my shoulder before. I'm going to complain about it a little bit, but hey, I'm at least doing the cast anyway, stepping further out of my comfort zone. But right. Let's delve a bit into this. On the side of Phoenix Rising Esports, we did see them ban both Braxis and Dragonshire, while Archon banned Sky Temple and Tomb of the Spider Queen, leading us to this Alterac. I want to call it Alterac Pass. Yeah, Alterac Pass map. In my head, there's some doubt going, maybe Alterac Valley is what it's called. But no, it is Pass. Anyway, as you hear that. Oh, don't hear anything. But the game has started, so let's head on over in there. On the left-hand side of the gate, apparently, of Phoenix Rising Esports, we have Batman on the... Sorry. This is incredibly scuffed to start with. I am so sorry about this. Oh. Got someone's own voice line. Right, we have Batman on the Tassadar. Elfie on what appears to be the Malfurion. Shredded Wind on the Malfurion. Elfie is on that. I can't even see who that is under all that. Greymane, Gingy Boy on Stitches, and we see Golden on ETC in the offlane. Meanwhile, on the right hand side of Archon, we see JTR 30k on the Falstad, Virtuoso on May, Little Bix on the Stukov, Midnight Haze on the Mephisto, and Richard Gere on the Hogger. That was actually a lot of abilities traded out to start with. We do see the left-hand side of Phoenix Rising Esports taking a decent amount of damage here, however, not really much finding purchase. I'm making sure things are right way around. And I do indeed. Excellent. Do see Flask come out. Just how are we going back to the general web, whereas we see Hogger clearing this camp to start already on it, going to do that good old spin thing as we see some null on null violence. How disrespectful. Meanwhile, we see Shredded Wind and Elfie doing the same thing on the left-hand side. Virtuoso doing their best to keep this Batman just at bay. However, we do see Testar does have better wave clear than the May, so they are struggling to keep up. Similarly, we have seeing Golden a bully JTR 30k a bit here. But yeah, that we're going to get a lot of posturing, a bit of wave clear, not much action, probably not too much action to start with. Looking at the builds we have very quick. The second quest to note is that Testar is going static charge, so whenever he hits someone with his Q, it'll gain more damage over time. Midnight Haze does get hooked, does have to use the Shade to get out, however it does go back into the root, is slipped by it, but however does not go down. And the other thing to note, as I was going to say before this fighting happened, is the Gathering Storm on Felstad. Right, we see Force actually coming first for the side of Phoenix Rising Esports. Hook not quite finding anyone, finding a gate, but not any player on the side of Archon. Greymane being slowed and silenced, thank you to Little Bix. However, they will be both rooted and silenced, Little Bix and Midnight Haze. All in all, we're still actually relatively even, so there's not too much to say at this current point in time, even though I will try now. Say a few things. Watching Elfie gets pushed back, does dive into the stun, gets pushed back, and actually the friend hook manages to find Elfie through all of those bodies. Right. I'm just looking at the comps. Just thinking about what's happening as we see JTR 30k getting relatively low. Sorry he belongs to me, Gingy Boy says, as they were able to snatch Elfie, the dog, the Greymane out of harm's reach. Gingy Boy gets pushed further and doesn't really... May doesn't find the stun onto them, but definitely is a bit annoying. But Stitches, especially with that level 1 of Patchwork Creation, I believe that's what it's called, can survive quite a bit, as they do give it 15% extra healing off any source of healing, being something like Malfurion or even their own I wanted to call it Save the Flavor, but that's not what it's called. Their own E, but bite someone and heal. Well, I think this ETC will probably go stage dive, which I'm personally a fan of. We'll like see how it goes. JCR 30k does get pushed further into the enemy, however, Golden's not able to finish them off. As we see, they don't have their 7s yet. Push wrong button, this button. And we go Air Torpedo for that more wave clear. You know, see Elfie, Gingy Boy, and Shredder Wind already going for this objective, trying to get it early on. And they do actually pretty well under this objective, albeit they're quite low on CC. If we do see that the red team of Archon they were set up like that, then we can see a quick kill as they have good zone control, and they demonstrated that with killing the Malfurion. However, the Malfurion has good zone control of their own with that root. And we see now Virtuoso and Richard Gere going on to Batman. Batman goes down. Richard Gere quite a bit into the tower fort range, however it does not go out, and that will be Gingy Boy getting body blocked. Unfortunately about the Stitches. Stitches is a rather large lad himself, so he was not able to get past the 2 bodies of May and Hogger. Very unfortunate stuff, and that has now led to a slight XP advantage and a kill advantage over to the side of Archon. Elfie and Shredder Wind pushing in. We do see Shredder Wind trying to get that objective channel back over, and that will be them going down. We see EZC in the backline hitting Little Bex, however Stukov is healing through that damage, however will not be able to get back in to save Virtuoso, as Virtuoso is the first to go down, quickly followed by Richard Gere, and JTR 30k will very likely back out as well. Yeah, we do see the roll used, so they are not taken down as well. And just like that, the game is essentially even. Albeit there is now an objective coming in for the side of Archon. They don't actually have anyone to push with it. Well, they're missing 2 people to push with, I should say. Hook tries to get something cheeky onto JTR, however only hits a minion. And we see JTR deciding to back out, as 1v3 is never a good idea. I don't care what your Storm League Illidan thinks, it's not a good idea. Actually, that is a lot of damage going out onto the Tassadar. Missed Tassadar going down, but it sounds that it felt like... No, it wasn't the... I can't remember what it's called. It wasn't low blow, it is just your standard healing reactive Ballista Spore Stukov. And that would be the objectives cleaned up. Do the bosses just spawn out? Does this boss spawn at 6 minutes, or do they not have... I don't think it could be capturing objective. I think that's what it was. But right, we do see heroics have come out for both sides, so a quick rundown for both teams. For Phoenix Rising Esports, we see Cursebull and Greymane, as there are a few larger boys on the side of Archon. Is it really just Archon, not Archons, or am I just like kind of slowly going crazy? Did I just miss an S? I'm sorry, I'm going to check this, as I don't like getting names wrong. It is indeed just Archon. We should note that Hogger here got gorged, and that is excellent play by the Maid to snowball them, avalanche them I should say, away from the allies. Or avalanche them, because if Stitches enters something else, such as an avalanche or a vehicle or another gorge, they will spit out their gorge target. We see Midnight Haze use the Durance. Durance doesn't quite find anything, and that is ETC coming in with the stage dive. However, we're seeing a lot of ults used, but nothing found. There'll be a reset just to go back to soaking. The other things to note that I haven't mentioned yet, we did see a few abilities being used there, but we also see, not Twilight, Dream, Tranquility from Malfurion, Archon from Tassadar, massive shove from Stukov. We see Richard Gere being pulled in and able to spin back out to safety. Wind Tunnel Phoenix, as I said, Avalanche May, Endurance of Hate, Mephisto, and Hoarder Bolt Hogger. Right, now that these objectives coming back up, we need the side of Phoenix Rising needs to find a pick early, as their comp is just not as good in a straight fight. ETC definitely does help that with their presence of, I was going to say mind, that's not even closely mind. As their extra presence, they do have their extra suns and such. However, the tank of Stitches is very good at getting picks thanks to his hook. However, in a straight up fight, all he has survivability and not really any extra CC. unlike both Mei and Hogger, who have both plenty of CC and both stuns, and slows. Hook managed to find Mei. Mei gets gorged. However, we did see Malfurion Root has already been used. Mei gets hit by Curse Bullet. Does actually get out, however. They will not be going down quite yet. Good disengage by the... Well, good escape by the Mei, I should say, not disengage. Mei's pushing in, gets us... Drops the at Blizzard, however, does not find much. We did hear that Cleanse was used there by Malfurion. Malfurion taking a lot of damage. Malfurion goes down first, closely followed by Stitches. And Stitches was taking the tower shots. Excellent Hortipult, keeping Golden. And Golden, we do see, went there on course, so that will be them getting their ult back a bit faster. Good spin by the Hogger, keeping up with the ETC, however, it does not do much more. Batman getting that extra damage and just trying to get that Q, that laser beam stronger. We hear Curse Bullet go out. Virtuoso does manage to dodge the ETC slide, however, so we do not get full combo. Very low already, but however, not going. Batman just really standing here trying their best to stall, and they're doing relatively well, all considering that. However, we will go down there to a flying Mirrodin, also known as Bellstard. Gingy Boy is looking for the hook over wall by the looks of it. We see Hook come out, does find Hogger. Hogger, however, one of the harder ones to kill. It sounded like their spin animation went off, and actually they'll be Curse Bullet and then being deleted very quickly. Thank you to that Grey main. And that's what I meant when I said the Stitches comp needs to find picks in order to win this. That pick opened up everything for them, and they're now able to push in, as they will have a man advantage for another 20 to 30 seconds, which it can be a lot, especially at this higher tier play. And that will be Stukov barely holding on. He does manage to back out. Alfie gets roll out, and that will be the Stukov going down without a healer. This becomes much more difficult and likely be the objective over to the side of Phoenix Rising. I'm bad with names, and I'm sorry, Midnight Haze has to get back out as they were getting in a lot of danger. Shredderwind does get the channel over for the side of Phoenix Rising. I do like that they're finding value elsewhere on the map. We do see Hook coming in, trying to find someone. However, nobody was home. Or at least they were hiding in one of the other rooms where you just can't easily catch them. They'll start flying up. Interesting grid position. Batman did see them, does recall that they are there. And we do see this objective once again being channeled over by the side of Archon. Hook trying to find JTR 30k, does not quite land. Both teams are getting very close to 16 now, but we do see that Archon wants this objective. They know their win condition. They know they're better in the actual team fight, as they do. Well, they know their heroes in theory are better in this actual team fight. However, the execution is yet to be seen. We see ETC getting pushed up on by the side of Archon, getting relatively low, and we will see them try to stage dive out. However, Gust interrupts it, as well as a lot of other CC, and that will be a dead ETC. Once again, we see that Malfurion Root coming out too early. Hogger does take the bullet, and actually will go down first. Good follow-up. Not good follow-up. Good endurance by the Midnight Haze. However, it does not find anyone. Haze trying to best squeeze out damage. However, I should zoom back in just to make it easier. Gingy Boy is trying to channel, and we see Malfurion. The Stukov silence coming out to interrupt. However, that is Mei going down once again. Midnight Haze gets pulled back in. That will be them dead as well. They lived a bit longer than I thought, but however, it was not quite long enough. JTR and 30k. Mouse, what are you doing all the way up there? We see a stage dive coming in. Hits Little Bex. Little Bex, however, decides to eject the ETC. However, we'll get Curse Bullet, Root Slept, and Hooked for yet another kill for the side of Phoenix Rising. And this is interesting. We see, even though both objectives have gone over to the sides of Archon so far, these extra late picks and just those 1 or 2 kills just always being staggered out seems to be creating quite an advantage for the side of Phoenix Rising Esports, as we see yet another hero get staggered. And I should mention that Phoenix Rising hasn't had a single objective. It just shows that it's not necessarily about getting objective, it's what you do with it, as we see that Phoenix Rising does have a building advantage, and now that the kills are even. And that will be Hogger going down next. I'm sorry I moved camera away. Bit distracted as of a point in time. We do actually find an objective finding purchase on a building. And it looks like it will not be doing much. About a third. About a third. Maybe even half if it's left up a bit too long. Nearly a half of building. However, not the objective itself doing this damage, but waves actually do a lot of damage with the objective. Like, the objective does buff move speed and damage, I believe. However, it isn't just... It doesn't just buff the damage of the heroes, it buffs the damage of the minions as well. Gingy Boy looking, just scouting this out, does see that this side of Archon is on it. I'll be interested if they decide just to hook gorge someone here, or whether they will even fully commit to this as they're being a hassle. Gingy Boy does get stunned. We don't see anyone really pushing onto it. We did see that Tessadar used that vision to just show where everyone was. However, Hook did not find anyone even with that. Very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. What do we see the side of Archon do? Archon is just deciding to rotate down like we see this Hogger just start this camp. As we do see that the side of Archon needs to catch up on experience, as they're almost a whole level down, and 20s are, well, the most important, essentially the most important abilities in the game. Those storm talents do so much. Especially with heroes. Especially with some of these heroes that are being used by the sort of Archon. All I can think of is that Durance upgrade, which adds a 5.5 second stun, which is nothing to sneeze at by any means. Gingy Boy use Hook, nobody home. Good idea hooking that bush, however it wasn't quite finding anyone again. We do see 20s is about to be found by this side of Phoenix Rising, and there they are. Just a brief look, and we have Hunter's Blunderbuss on the Greymane, Master Hooker on the Stitches, Serenity on the Malfurion, and that is Gingy Boy being hooked and gorged. They're going to get dropped in the sleep route. That we did hear Curse Bullet come out. That is the extra big stage dive, which I believe is called the Crowd Pleaser. Coming in, Hook finds JTR 30k. May goes down first, quickly followed by JTR. Master Hooker makes it a 6-second cooldown if they hit the hook on an enemy hero. And I believe we're about to see someone else get hooked. Nope, we just see Midnight Haze going down. And that hook would have been at the right spot if I'm making the gesture like Stukov does when he puts the silent circle out, but it would have found Stukov if Stukov hadn't moved early enough. But meanwhile, during this, we see that Phoenix Rising does also... Okay, I should also mention Batman does have the Twilight Archon and a lot of extra damage during these fights. Archon is trying their best to find value elsewhere during this, as the two bosses one boss only really balanced out the forward structures, while Phoenix Rising Esports just decided to really just push up now that they have a number advantage. We do have to remember this, Mephisto is actually staggered to the point where they won't even be able to get back to defend in time. Even the May and the Falstad respawning will not get back to defend in time. Shredderwind backing up, looking like they just want that extra mana. Yep. Maybe a little bit of clear down here. Maybe just a little bit of clear. But no, decide to join the allied team, as that is where the healer is most important. Well, where the healer really thrives, I should say. Can't name many solo queer offlane healers. I know some people go offlane Arna or offlane Ufa, but me, I'm more a... Healers do a lot of healing. They're good in the format, and here's why. I'm not gonna lie, I do like the Ufa offlane. Just no one get that information, please. Just completely skip over that. And we do see that Durance coming out. That is Batman taking a lot of damage, and we don't actually see the upgrade to Durance. We do just see the double Lightning Nova talent, which I can't remember. We hear Curse Bullet coming out. Midnight Haze taking a lot of damage, however, it does tap for well, and does have that extra healing from Stukov, just restoring them. On the right hand side of Archon, we do see for the Storm talents. I'm just going to zoom this out because a lot is happening here. Extra gear does spin out, manages to dodge the hook, but is ultimately safe. We do see top off from Stukov, wind tunnel from Bellstad. We had Tranquility coming out with Serenity, just keeping the team up. And again, Gingy Boy not quite finding this hook. They need to find the hook to end this. Hook is the most important ability on the side of Phoenix Rising, and they need to find it to get their advantage. And Hook managed to find Felstar. That is Gorge coming out. We heard Curse Bullet hitting Richard Gear. And that will be Felstar drop. Felstar does have roll and uses Wind Tunnel into the corner. That is an excellent Wind Tunnel by any means, and they're being taken for a ride. This is a very unusual combo. That Shredder Wind going down first, then the... I nearly call him Stupid Stitches, followed by the Tassadar. EC tries to slide out, and that will be them just slowly being chased down. Slowly being chased down. Slowly being chased down. Slowly being chased down. And that is the ETC finally going down. The problem with this map is, even with that 4-man wipe, it is not the easiest to finish. One keep alone is usually not enough to actually finish this map. You usually need to find 2 just because of how the armor's core works. Obviously at 3 it's invulnerable, at 2 it has 40 armor, at 2 plates it has 40 armor, and at 1 plate it has 10. 40 armor is a lot of damage, a lot of health to try to overcome, and as we see the the death timers just aren't quite that long to burn through 40% worth of 40% armored core. Just isn't worth the time. They could be getting more elsewhere, and we do see them doing that as they're pushing in this camp. Should mention that this mid keep fort is still up, so it will be slightly diminish what this null siege camp will do. However, it does still maybe long enough for this building to take enough damage to open it up for this next objective phase. And we do see that happening as the minion wave will comfortably take out that keep. We see a boss play coming, or at least a boss check. It's hard to tell at this current point in time. Is no frontline is with him. Yep, that is a boss call being made by the side of Phoenix Rising. Very Wise gets the second keep down, as I said. These keeps very important, and once that is down, if there is a team wipe on the if Phoenix Rising does cause a team wipe, that is much easier for them to end. We see Elfie just burning through this. May is getting there a bit too late, unfortunately. Tries to scout the bush, finds nothing, and that will be the boss. Going over to Phoenix Rising Esports without really much stopping them, is the only way to put it. ETC was just kind of messing around. I don't know what they were doing at the time. I think they're just getting stuck in a couple of lanes. Because they did go that Echo Pedal. Wise capping this, I think. Just getting this going while boss is pushing in. Just splits the attention a bit too much. Gingy Boy is looking for that hook. Only manages to find a minion. May did use Ice Block in response to it, respecting the hook, which we have seen time and time again this game. They need to, as if someone's hooked, especially in this late game, after Curse Bullet came through, they usually die, and we do see that ETC has started this bottom bot. Can ETC solo a boss? Is this just new information to me? If they have full mana? What is their build? Sorry. Maybe it's the Echo Pedal that helps? Oh, nope, it will be the Guitar Hero just helping them as we see they heal a chunk of their health every time they auto-attack. This is something I did not realize. Wow. Actually, we do see this top keep has gone down to that boss. This is a cheeky play by VTC. I love it so much, and I think I'm going to have to try something new in my games. Offlane ETC just solo running down bosses, albeit your mana kind of looks a bit sore afterwards. However, will ETC be able to get this boss in time? Half for assumably health and mana, and then recall back in. I love the sound design of Hogger, just hearing the dings, kind of like a pinball ricochet. I'm a sucker for good sounds. And we do see bottom boss is taken. ETC looks like they're probably just going to have to stage dive straight in. Good hook onto Virtuoso. Virtuoso having to slide out. We do see Shredder Wind is channeling this objective. ETC just taking their time now that they know that the LI team of Phoenix Rising Esports has it. Has the objective. Virtuoso gets gorged. Curse Bullet and the silence is up. That's excellent wind tunnel. ETC does land directly on top of them, however their team is not home to help them. Midnight Haze getting a little bit out of damage. We heard the bullet going off, and that is the Felstad going down first. Hook manages to find Midnight Haze. Midnight Haze trying their best to get back out. Richard Gere taking a nice nap throughout all of that. Little Bex does push back Boy and trying their best to keep their allies up. However, Virtuoso will go down next as Archon has lost 2 during this fight. That will be the third on Mephisto. Little Bex being ran down by the team of Phoenix Rising, and there'll be them too soon to follow. Malfurion out for blood today. The most bloodthirsty tree you've ever seen. I mean, yeah, this is a safe call. But no, we do see that boss, go to boss has been called. Not go to boss, go to core. So we hit the core quickly falling, chunk by chunk by chunk, and that will be the game over to Phoenix Rising Esports. Well done. Let's quickly change over to our game summary screen as I push this button, this button, this button. We see Grey... Okay. I always talk about healers first. I want to go with Grey Map, but I'll talk about healers. Malfurion did excellent healing that game, keeping their team very healthy throughout. A lot of sustained damage as Mephisto very much can burst. They do also have a lot of kind of filler sustain with their Qs and their Felstar with their orders and such. There's a lot of magic damage that kind of could be prevented by the Malfurion healing, and we just did see it come through. Little Bex was trying their best to keep up. They were doing very well, but however, felt a bit off pace as the burst of Stitches, Greymane, and Malfurion alone. The burst from Greymane alone, realistically, with Cursed Bullet into this, that, and the other, was just a bit too much for Stukov to kind of keep up with, especially if they were gorged. They were a bit too isolated for that healing to ever matter. Otherwise, I did like both comps very well. The ETC was a good addition to the pick style comp of Phoenix Rising Esports, as it did add that extra stun, that extra CC, which is so helpful over many circumstances, and we did actually see excellent soak from them. And actually, this is a build I may try myself. But anyway, just looking at it, I did like the team fight ability that Archon has. However, it was a bit too much on the counter engage. It did have that emphasis, and with basically Stitches saying, no, you are coming to me whether you like it or not, it kind of ruined a lot of their plans. As we did see, meanwhile, while Archon did do well at first, that Master Hooker coming in at 20 as well as Cursed Bullet just was a bit too much for them to overcome. Right, I am going to quickly show talents for anyone who is interested. We did see the static charge at 1 for Tassadar, but then a flex into the shield, the auto attack talents for the rest. Interesting. Probably because we did see the Archon. Greymane, we did see the percent damage, which is why the front liners, the bulky boys on the side of Archon did melt so easily. A lot of leaves from Malfurion, nothing wrong with that. Quite classic. I say classic build, but ever since Stitches changed, this seems to come and go. This build mainly stay, but this seems to be the build so far. Hogger, I never know how to play, so I can't comment about it. Same for Mephisto. May did go into that icing build, which is quite popular at the moment. Falstad, that Gathering Storm, and Sukov choosing to stay with Reactor Ballista Spores as opposed to the current Silence build where you take the purple Silence at 1, 7, and 13. Right, I'm going to throw it to a brief break as I get the next map set up, if I remember what buttons I am meant to push. There we go, and talk to you soon. I need to get faster at that. Whoops. And I turned down music a bit too much anyway. Anyway, here we see map 2 of Battlefield of Eternity being picked. I will always state I do not know whether Archon chose map pick or first pick, as I don't like spoiling the series before I come into it, and this is the best way to not even spoil it for myself. Unfortunately, that is the way it is. But right, let's not dally any longer. Let's get into the game. If I remember which buttons to push, as you hear it going in the background. See, you hear it going in the background, and I will click this button. Right. On the left-hand side of Phoenix Rising, we have, once again, I need to make sure I'm always doing this right, because things were the other way around. We have Elfie on the Jimmy Rayner, Batman on the Hanzo, Shredded Wind on Brightwing, Gingy Boy on the Joanna, and Golden on the Thrall. On the right hand side, we see JTR 30k on the Ming, Li Ming, Virtuoso on Mei, Midnight Haze on the Junkrat, and Little Bex back on that Stukov. Oh, and Richard Gere is also here on the Malfurion. We see Golden kind of just floating around here so far, getting that extra damage in. We'll zoom back in. Oh, no, back out. No, in, out, in. As we do see this kind of fight just slowly taking place, as we do see currently the side of Phoenix Rising. Archon. Yeah, Phoenix Rising does have slightly better wave clear thus far. All in all, Raynor is setting a very interesting position away from his team, and we do see once again this Virtuoso Elfie being relatively aggressive, even for what can be considered by a lot as a counter-engage, but good general tank. Gingy Boy is able to dodge those arcane missiles, however, they did find that they were there. Elfie stepping up a lot. Gingy Boy staying around the middle of it. Has to pop Iron Skin, however, will be safe. Elfie taking a lot of damage there, does get boot further out, however, it is not enough to end them. Right, a quick look at talents. We do see the Exterminator on Raynor. This is one of Raynor's best maps for that reason. It has excellent ways to get rid of these Immortals in the middle. And if you don't know, if you're new to this Heroes of the Storm thing, the Immortals is the objective of this map. They will push down basically the lane of whoever wins the quote-unquote race, whoever gets rid of all their health the fastest. Richard Gere showing off the ability of Raynor, not Raynor here, of the Dahaka here, as they're able to burrow down and get the rotational advantage on Thrall to try help out the ally team. However, no kills were found. Really, there's not much happening in the way of stacking talents. We do see the Laws of Hope from Joanna, Echo of the Elements from Thrall, which now requires, I think, either less hits maybe, but it definitely means that the ability will be costing less mana in the long run and still give 2 charges. Meanwhile, Hanzo goes with that W build, which means we are likely to see, I can't remember what it's called. I thought it's called Monster Hunter or Merc Hunter or something at 4. However, it does bonus damage to all non-heroic targets except structures, which means camps such as this will be much easier to go down, as well as the Immortal. And these camps, basically a second objective on this map, as you see them, both sides taking relatively high priority for it. We do see now force. Oh, and the last thing to mention is tissue regeneration from the Haka. What's this called? Serrated arrows, that's what they're called. It deals 100% more damage to minions, mercenaries, and monsters. These are apparently monsters. One's an angel, one's a demon. They're monsters. But right, I will close back out of this as we see a lot happening top. Richard Gere getting very low quite early on. Elfie just trying their best to poke them down. However, Richard Gere did have that trait available, meaning they're able to heal for it. That's a good pull onto Golden. Golden, however, does get phase shifted onto by Shredder Wind, and that will be them losing a lot of health. Makes them go back in, and that will be the Thrall going down first. And we actually see, again, another questing talent from Thrall, being that of the Frost Wolf pack. We usually see this in conjunction with a level 16% damage talent, so it will be interesting to see where this goes. All in all, we see Junker actually having defeat here. They managed to boop the Shaman over the wall, and that will be that Shaman camp being stopped. Something very helpful. You see this Blue Mortal's taking a lot of damage. That's just purely because we see more of the allied, or more of the Archons on this than the Phoenix Rising Esports. Both teams have very good actual burn for the Immortal, but I do, at least as soon as we hit the mid-game of 7s, have to give it over to the side of Phoenix Rising when it comes to probably the race into the later game. But however, This is not the late game. This is the early game. And we see the first objective being taken by Archon. But I'm afraid just after the last battle, I hope Archon can keep up this momentum as, yes, they did have it at first. They did have the first and second objectives for Alterac Pass. They ended up not being able to convert they weren't able to convert those objectives into buildings. So let's hope this Immortal does better. It is roughly half health, more third health, so does still have a decent amount of staying power, and we do see it does chunk these buildings. These objectives far stronger than the objectives of Alterac Pass, and we do see that paying off already as the side of Phoenix Rising is playing quite safe. Keep in mind, Gingy Boy on this, a lot of the heroes actually get a lot of power spikes at 10. That is a orb that does find Shredder Wind, however, Li Ming goes down to the Nexus Forces, and I believe they went down to the tower itself. Hanzo going further into that W build, making them even stronger coming into objectives, and yeah, this is where things will start to get scary for both sides. These 7 talents. As the Thrall is dipping into that percent damage build, it's going to make it much harder for Dahaka to do things. I'm seeing this used more and more by Brightwing, the critical mist, magic spit, just to get more cleanses, especially now that the cleanse was reduced from 90 seconds to 75 seconds, I believe. And we do see that cleanse just helping the 2 allies of both Shredder Wind and Gingy Boy on Phoenix Rising Esports get out. But one thing to note is all quests are still going. It's very important for Hanzo to get that quest off, as that will be a lot of their race. And I'm just going to quickly double check this. Divine Steed, okay. Trap build, okay. Okay, Calamity from Li Ming. Li Ming does go in to get that Calamity damage, however, we do not see much to come from it, as everyone's just slightly too high health to really do anything about it. I'm sorry for yawning. I'm both tired and sore. What a combo. Alfie gets knocked further and phase shift comes out, however, the phase shift will not go off in time, as that will be them being the Raynor falling. Sorry, just quickly triggering Stukov again. No, once again we see the reactive blister spores instead of a low blow. They just happen to get the last hit both times, as those silences are constant ticks of damage. Gingy Boy does eat the Junkrat trap just to get off map. We see it happen a second time. That minus 15 armor is actually a decent amount. Sure, Shredder Wind does help. I should call what the character is. Brightwing does help with that Pixie Dust. Is it called Pixie Dust? Yes, Pixie Dust. Helping get rid of, like, nullify a bit of the armor, the minus armor. Sure, not physical, but at least 15 spell armor is still a decent amount, especially into something such as Li Ming. I'm going to zoom this further out as we see Race going over in this first segment to the side of Archon once again in this first half. I don't think I can zoom further out, but you get the general idea of what's happening. We're just having Race being traded as both Immortals are slowly being peppered down. However, it is a bit faster on the side of of Archon at the moment, and we do see Attire coming in from Midnight Haze. However, this Immortal even less health than before, as all the this shield is basically taken from how much health it had at the end of that last phase. Virtuoso in a very interesting position. We do see Falling Sword coming out onto the Li Ming. Li Ming gets dove on. That Dragon Arrow does actually manage to stun free, however Icefall stops Joanna for doing too much more. There was an isolation onto Shredder Wind. Shredder Wind trying their best to get out. They'd use the cleanse, and we do not find any follow-up damage going onto the Brightwing. However, Hanzo is still trying to get that step by the looks of it. Alfie getting very low to Virtuoso. Virtuoso trying to all in them. Alfie gets phase shifted on by the Brightwing, and that will be a lot of damage coming out, but somehow, some way, Phoenix Rising was able to get out of it unscathed, essentially. Right, to look at things once again, we did see that Echo of Elements was completed and Simple Geometry very close. Gingy Boy pushing up. We do see them. You can instant mount while you're condemning. I've learned something new! Anyway, let's just I'm going to quickly touch on Heroics and just keep an eye on this. If I suddenly stop during it, you know why. As we did actually see Shredder Wind getting dropped relatively low there. Hyperion, Raynor, Falling Sword, Joanna, Earthquake, Thrall, Dragon Arrow, Hanzo, and not Phase Shift, Blink Heal, Brightwing. However, Brightwing did go back, so I can assume they have Phase Shift up very shortly. They do indeed have Phase Shift up. Look at this because it's easier. On the right hand side of Archon, we do see massive shove from Stukov, repulsion by Li Ming, Riptide by Junkrat, Icefall by Mei, and Isolation by Dahaka, which for some reason I think has... For some reason I've been thinking Isolation's adaptation today, and that is what we call just wrong. We do see once again this eternal duel of the offlane happening, but however we're getting a bit of foul play, some interruption. The 1v1's not being respected as the red team does rotate down onto the... not Dahaka, Golden on the Thrall, but Golden does indeed back out. They know that... Phoenix Rising knows that Archon's here, but they can do not really much step in. Junkrat traps are excellent for zoning. Hunter was found first, that should be a well-timed stun. Good unstop by the Joanna means Batman will not get stunned and will not get pushed back in. They have to drop that wall. A Virtuoso gets very low. They died to the Thrall W by the looks of it. The Frostwolf, however, that meant Dragon Arrow did not find anyone, and that is what people like refer to as a N-A arrow. Very unfortunate. Good tongue by Dahaka, good by Richard Gere. Pulling... I forgot what Joanna's name was. Pulling Joanna back in and finishing them off. Very unfortunate. Right. Both sides are missing their tanks. It'll be interesting to see how this played. You see Li Ming getting relatively low here. Golden managed to find a lot onto them. We see just this poke actually now coming over to the side of Phoenix Rising as Hanzo did get that simple geometry off. However, Li Ming and Co have gone to race. Well, interesting to see how this goes. Virtuoso and Midnight Haze doing their best just to zone things out for now. And you see that Phoenix Rising is Esports. Essentially, it feels like we're respecting them a bit too much. Feels like they're a bit timid to go in a lot of situations. If we do see Joanna stepping up, Richard Gere did miss his tongue, manages to use Burrow to make sure he is not hit by any of the stuns. Gingy Boy drops back out. Again, playing once again very safe. Both Midnight Haze and JTR 30k. Just getting that poke damage on, that's just doing so much extra. Thrall had to back off to get a well, and that may prove costly. Sorry, I accidentally touched my mic there, a little bit of a tap. Was not meant to happen. Shredderwind getting relatively low to that Junkrat spam. Arrow comes out, and once again it misses, not because it was a bad shot, just because everyone managed to step around it. That is actually for Mei going down. That's very bad for the side of Archon. Gingy Boy gets shoved all the way out. That essentially removes the tank for a while. Brywin gets hit by trap. However, nothing else happens really. I'm pushing buttons again and not remembering how it works. JTR 30k, want to get that poke. Finds Gingy Boy. Shredderwind didn't quite get hit by that and actually manages to phase shift half out just before they get hit and phase shift immediately onto the Joanna of Gingy Boy. Gingy Boy taking a lot of damage, however it's ultimately fine. Shredderwind does blink out after polymorphing the Richard Gere on the Dahaka. We do see Raynor is actually racing throughout all of this, and while the Batman is trying to stay in and get extra damage on, we do see them hit by the Dahaka tongue that is then backing out. This vent is doing a lot to save a lot of people's lives, however that is the Joanna going down, and that will be nothing to stop the red side of Archon to push in now as Mei is a tank, and well, the left side of Phoenix Rising doesn't have a tank. However, that will be Phoenix Rising getting their first objective of the game. JTR 30k really wants those orbs to get that mana back so they don't have to half, and they managed to do so. Speaking of which, Golden low mana, Batman low mana, Alfie low mana. This is not fantastic position for this objective, as they're missing the Joanna, they're missing the tank who's only just respawned. Alfie does manage to dodge that Li Ming orb and made it look effortless in doing so. And we're having the opposite problem here actually. This time we're finding that Phoenix Rising Esports is not going to be able to get much with their Immortals. And this is a 13 minute Immortal by the way. This is doing a lot of damage per swing. It looks like 726 damage per swing. It's just carving through this building. However, because Gingy Boy died so late into that objective base, Phoenix Rising Esports did not manage to quite get as much as it looked like they wanted to there, as we do see a structure advantage over to the side of Archon, as they have all buildings up and Phoenix Rising and missing 1 2/3 essentially. Very, very cheeky play, just taking their Bruiser camp away from them while doing top siege. I do like it. A player's been called in Dahaka. Will Dahaka be able to back out in time? Golden manages to dodge the minion wave. Joanna getting very aggressive. That is a stun Dahaka, and Dahaka will go down pretty much instantly, even with popping their trait to try to keep them alive. We see now 6 sensor come through from both sides, so once again we're hitting power spikes, especially for Hanzo. It looks like they did go the piercing arrow, and yeah, they did. Piercing arrow is actually a lot of extra DPS, as you're essentially doubling the amount of targets you can hit with both the Qs and the Ws. We see Riptide being used earlier. We'll get the damage out. Actually, Riptide can be polymorphed and gets destroyed before it finds any damage onto anyone. Unfortunate stuff. The side of Phoenix Rising is trying to protect this camp. We do see the Jaina. Oh wow, that was very unfortunate untiming. Joanna did manage to cleanse, so Shredder Wind was not going to get CC'd. However, Joanna themselves got stunned as they landed what looked like to be the frame, or maybe the frame before, frame of, somewhere around barely before the stun frame of the Blizzard. And now once again, the eternal conflict continues as we just have two Immortals flinging things at each other, and while everyone else postures around them. I say that. But Elfie is the first to step up. We do see Joanna eating traps yet again and takes roughly a third of our health and damage from that Li Ming. Thrall finding the Chain Lightning onto Li Ming, however, is not going to do much more, as we do see those two charges just slowly poking everyone down. Can zoom in a little bit now. Actually, what is Li Ming doing all the way up here? Elfie does scout for Li Ming. Li Ming misses their full salvo, their barrage. Oh, Golden down here getting dove. We do see phase shift coming off, and it's likely good queens by the Joanna, meaning they're able to get out. Isolation onto the Thrall, while Thrall gets stunned by the Ice Wall, and that'll be Elfie going down first. Li Ming getting that all-important reset shot off. Virtuoso goes down next, followed by the Thrall. And that is a 2-for-1 currently for the side of Archon. However, there's not much pull out. That is Brightwing getting grabbed, however, is able to get out. It should mention that Immortal Face is still going. Meanwhile, yes, there is probably a core trio of damage, healer, and tank alive on the side of Phoenix Rising. Just the 4-man advantage that Archon has here is just a bit too much. Like, yes, in theory, you could go try backdoor the Immortal or do something crazy like that. But there's really no need. That's just opening yourself for a bit too much extra damage deck. Right. But we do see, however, that we are getting... Phoenix Rising is getting back on the race. However, it will not be enough to win it out. It will be enough to greatly diminish the shields of Belith. Yeah, Belith, the Hell's Immortal. The Hell's Immortal? Hell's Immortal? Archon's Immortal. Essentially Archon Immortal. Belith from Hell, Ilarian from Heaven. Easy enough. I believe it's Ilarian of this map. Angel. Big Angel. Big Angel, big demon. This big demon. Big demon. But yeah, this fort is going down guaranteed. Virtuoso in a very interesting position, looking like they're going to go for an Ice Wall. Gets the Ice Wall off really well. Richard G. Gear does hit the Brightwing. That will be Brightwing going down first. Virtuoso tries to get the slide combo off onto Hanzo and Gingy Boy, however, didn't quite hit, and Batman did have to jump the wall to survive. Immortal quickly taking down these structures now. Good piercing arrow by the Hanzo. Good W. We will see this going down very soon as Scatter's just doing work. Richard Gear trying to vest. Excellent dragon arrow from the Hanzo, meaning that Little Bex will die first. May did, however, get the stun onto Gingy Boy, and that will be... We just see the zoning potential of these traps doing so much here. Good ice spot by the May, meaning they're able to get out with enough of their health intact to live. That was a very good Immortal for the side of Phoenix Rising East. Not Phoenix Rising, Archon. Very good Immortal for the side of Archon. As we do see them kind of wanting to take control of this map. Just trying their best to make sure that they stay ahead. It's saying it's staying ahead, but actually not ahead. Phoenix Rising Esports, once again, closer to their 20s. The mid-game being kind of taken over. Earlier mid-game actually going over to Archon quite well. One good Immortal phase from the side of Phoenix Rising. However, one good Immortal phase does not make a game. Right, we do see Raiders roll from Raynor. Joanna hasn't quite picked yet. They're still deciding. Riptide coming out from Junkrat as they're wanting to protect this building. And once again, the Riptide dies before anything goes down. Junkrat is actually able to get themselves out with that concussion mine. Other things to note, Joanna did go Heaven's Fury. We did see the lightning bolts falling down there. Fraw went Irvin Shields. Oh, I haven't seen this one. Bull in a while. Bullseye from Hanzo. So if Hanzo hits anyone with Sonar Arrow, they will be stunned. And Invisible Friends from Brightwing. It's just a really good talent. On right hand side, we once again see Top Off from Stukov. We see Repulsion from Li Ming. Cannonball from the Junkrat, as well as the big one from May, and Contagion from the Dahaka. Contagion being an AoE silence on isolation. We do see that extended briefly. He very much thought about it, however, will go down first, as that is terrible timing. Golden, however, getting caught a bit out of position. Phase shift coming out of him. They will get hit by the stun. Shredderwind does not get hit by the stun as they're just slightly too late. There's Virtuoso going down first. Joanna now in a very awkward situation. They don't quite have Falling Sword for a few more seconds, but however are able to destroy the sidewall and use Holy Steed to get Steed Charge to get out. As I can close this. And here we see I did say that there is good Immortal Race on the side of Phoenix Rising Esports, and we just kind of see it slowly coming through. However, we do see Batman wants to get aggressive. Bit hungry for blood. It looks like they want those kills. JTR 30k is just... I do like this, just taking this camp while they can't really push in. Pushing in without either frontliner for these squishies is a terrible idea. Shredder Wind gets rooted, however they would not have been the ones to capture it. And that is a silence root combo out onto Shredder Wind. However, they are not quite able to get anything else as it will go down. However, Raynor goes down top to JTR 30k as Brightwing does phase shift into Golden. Very unfortunate stuff. That is not someone you want to lose at this current point in the game. Batman is a bit alone and does have Junkrat. It's kind of harassing them a bit. We see Dahaka is brush stalking in. Batman will be able to see them. Okay. Safe play happening from the side of Phoenix Rising Esports as they know they are down one player now and decide to back out. Hanzo just getting what little poke they can on the Immortal in the meantime. I'm going to not zone back in. Oh, I was already all the way out. Let's go further back out as we see race starting on the side of Archon as well. A long way to catch up, however, they need to try to do it. Right, but we do see the side of Phoenix Rising Esports posturing very aggressively. One of the kills as both teams are ready for that team fight. Both teams running those counter engages, but both getting very aggressive with them. Gingy Boy with that falling sword and May with their W combo as we do see that Blizzard coming out. Fraw is not quite with him. Fraw is actually looking for a flank. And we do see now that enough time has passed where Raynor is coming back. Enough posturing has happened. Batman getting a little bit of poke on the Immortal during this phase. Golden is just kind of spending their time. Golden comes in, finds JTR 30k. However, it does not connect anything with them except maybe an auto attack. Golden does drop that Earthquake, that Urban Shields, and will add a lot of extra stability during this fight as it adds a shield up to 50% health. Excellent stun onto the Li Ming. Li Ming does have to teleport out. That is a falling sword out from Gingy Boy. Gingy Boy gets a stun onto Junkrat. Junkrat doing the best position well, and that is a concussion mine putting them over the wall to safety. Excellent stuff. May did use the icing to try to get out, however went down to Batmang's W build, that scatter arrow. The scatter arrow does so much, and actually quick thing to note during this, there is a lot of pressure happening on these two buildings, and that bottom keep is down now. We're seeing a very split. No, they're all together now. See Fraw. Fraw's just... Oh, sorry about yawn. Fraw's just... Frawn? Fraw is just kind of doing his own thing. He's just vibing, having time. You see Joanna get heavily comboed thanks to that Junkrat trap. However, Iron Skin does a lot to protect her. And we see this Immortal pushing in. Still on relatively high health, only just losing its shield. Now Li Ming is missing both orbs. And Li Ming did go Triumvirate at 4, meaning that every time it hits someone with that orb, when it travels more than half its distance, it goes basically to a 2, maybe 1 second cooldown. That's an NA arrow. We see Falling Sword coming out. Actually not finding anyone, but we are seeing it start hitting the objective. Alfie does get hit by the tire into the enemy base. Shredder Wind tries to cleanse him, however that will be the Hanzo going down first. However, that is the game. And the series going over to Phoenix Rising Esports as that late game was just slightly too much for the side of Archon. Right, I am briefly going to quickly change it over to game summary screen. Nailed it. Right. As per, touching over healers first, actually very close between Brightwing and Stukov. Stukov beating them out ever so slightly, but in the end, just wasn't quite enough. Yawning, sorry. As we did see the side of Phoenix Rising Esports take it. I should update the scores before I get. Boop. There we go. I did like the Thrall pick. I've actually Thralled a lot there in terms of both damage and hero damage and off siege damage. As that percent damage build did really come through, as I believe I saw, Alpha Wolf at 16. That means that every time someone's hit with the Feral Spirit, any auto attacks that happen to them will get that 3% bonus damage, as well as this 15% damage here and heal for Thrall. This adds up to be quite a bit. I would have been interesting to see the not Crash. Not Echo. The Green Lightning. I can't remember what it's called. Crash Lightning. Echo of the Elements. And the other one. I like the other one. Rolling Thunder. I would have been interested to see what happened if Rolling Thunder went here, but Echo of the Elements does a lot to clear that wave. Hunter we didn't see as much both in terms of siege and damage, same for the Raynor. But that's because both these heroes do have that excellent race, and Raynor actually did a lot of race during this game instead of team fighting, hence why this hero damage is on the lower end for at least DPS. Junkrat did a lot as well as Li Ming, but that is the nature of their damage, all their damage being AoE. Like, I did like both comps a lot. I'm going to keep ascertaining that, but I did say at the beginning we probably see the objectives eventually go over to the side of Phoenix Rising Esports, and that's what we saw happen. Albeit Li Ming and Junkrat did make it a nightmare to get there, as Li Ming is also one of the... Sorry, my mouse in the middle of the way. Li Ming is also one of those nightmare kind of people to go into against on this map. But right, I'm going to throw it back over to the map view screen, as I will be calling it there for this evening. I'd like to thank anyone who maybe dropped in, just didn't say anything, but I'd like to thank anyone who may watch this at a later date. And as always, I wish everyone has a good evening, afternoon, morning, depending on where you live, what your time zone is, and I will see you all in the Nexus. Goodbye.